Deep in the forgotten woods of Eastern Europe, where the trees seem to breathe and shadows stretch longer than they should, ancient stories still whisper through the wind. These are the myths of the Slavs, powerful, mysterious, and terrifying. Passed down through firelight and fear, these tales warned villagers of what lurked beyond the edges of the path: spirits, monsters, and gods that defied the laws of nature. In this video, we'll uncover the top 10 most terrifying beings in Slavic mythology, from forest demons and drowned maidens to fire-breathing dragons and gods of death. They weren't just stories, they were survival guides. And even now, centuries later, some still whisper their names. Welcome to Slavic Codex, where forgotten legends come back to life.
Top 1. Leshy, spirit of the forest. In Slavic folklore, the Leshy is one of the most feared beings, the wild spirit who rules the forest. He's not just a legend. For the Slavs, the forest was a living, breathing world, and the Leshy was its soul. What is the Leshy? The Leshy is described as a tall, moss-covered man with glowing green eyes, a beard of leaves, and skin like bark. He can shrink to the size of a twig, or grow as tall as the trees themselves. But don't be fooled. He's no gentle guardian. The Leshy is territorial, unpredictable, and dangerous. What does he do? He mimics voices to lure you deeper into the woods. He twists trails, making you walk in circles until you're hopelessly lost. If you whistle, pick mushrooms, or chop wood without respect, you might never return. Some stories say he kidnaps children or causes hunters to vanish. How to protect yourself. To stay safe, villagers would leave bread or tobacco on tree stumps, wear clothes inside out, walk with shoes on the wrong feet to confuse him, and always ask the forest for permission before entering. What does he symbolize? The Leshy represents nature's dual face, beautiful but merciless. He reminds us that the wilderness isn't ours to control. It watches us, and it remembers. Even today, some say you can still hear him in the wind, if you listen too closely. Top 2. Rusalka, the drowned maiden. At first glance, the Rusalka may seem beautiful, a woman with long hair standing by the water's edge, but looks deceive. She is no mermaid, but a vengeful spirit, the soul of a drowned woman, often after betrayal or heartbreak. What is a Rusalka? In Slavic myth, Rusalki are undead spirits of rivers and lakes. Their hair is green like algae, their eyes pale and empty. By day, they rest beneath the water. At night, they rise. What does she do? The Rusalka lures men with her voice or by mimicking someone they love. Once close, she pulls them under and drowns them. Some say she tickles her victims to death, a cruel, mocking act. Though a few stories show her as lonely, most portray her as a spirit of vengeance. Protection. Don't swim at night. Avoid strange voices. Never trust beauty that appears from the mist. Symbolism. The Rusalka embodies sorrow and rage. She shows that pain, especially when unjust, never truly fades. Even today, some lakes are feared as cursed. Locals say the Rusalki still wait, just below the surface.
Top 3. Bannik, the spirit of the bathhouse. In Slavic folklore, even the warmest, most ordinary places could be dangerous, and none more so than the banya, the bathhouse. Hidden behind clouds of steam, the bannik was believed to dwell in the darkest corner of the bathhouse, unseen, but always watching. Who is the bannik? The bannik is a house spirit, much like the domovoi, but far more temperamental. He ruled the bathhouse, a place of cleansing but also transformation, birth and death. That made it sacred and dangerous. He's usually invisible, but when seen, he appears as a small, hunched figure with scorched skin, coal-black eyes, and dripping wet hair. What does he do? If treated with respect, the Bannik stays quiet. But if insulted by entering without permission, making noise, or showing arrogance, he can burn you with boiling water, suffocate you with steam, or scratch your back with claws. Some say he could predict the future. In certain rituals, villagers would enter the banya at night, naked and alone, asking Bannik for omens. If he gently stroked your back, it meant good fortune. If he clawed, death was near. How to stay safe? Don't enter the banya at night. Always leave an offering, soap, bread, or water. Never joke, curse, or fight inside. The bathhouse was believed to be a portal between worlds, and Bannik stood at the threshold, the final spirit to judge you, whether you came to be cleansed or claimed. Symbolism. Bannik represents ritual, danger, and the unseen forces in everyday life. He reminds us that even places of comfort can turn hostile when disrespected. In Slavic homes, the banya was never just a place to wash. It was a place to whisper and fear.
Top 4. Morana, goddess of death and winter. In Slavic mythology, Morana, also known as Marzana or Mara, is the personification of death, winter, and decay. She is not a demon but a goddess, ancient, cold, and inescapable. Where she walks, snow falls. Where she lingers, life fades. Who is Morana? Morana rules over the darkest season of the year. She is often depicted as a tall, pale woman in white or black robes, with ice in her hair and eyes like frozen rivers. Sometimes young and beautiful, other times a decaying corpse. She's not evil, but she is inevitable. To the Slavs, Morana was both feared and honored, as she brought not just death, but the promise of rebirth. What does she do? Morana brings the end of cycles. Crops wither, animals die, and the land sleeps under snow. But she also clears the way for spring. In some tales, she visits the dying in dreams. If you saw her face in sleep, it meant your time was near. Her presence was strongest in winter months. Cold winds, sudden illness, or failed harvests were often blamed on her. Rituals and worship. To keep her wrath at bay, Slavic villages performed rituals at the end of winter. The most famous was the burning or drowning of Morana, a straw effigy carried through the village, then cast into water or fire. This wasn't meant to destroy her, only to send her back to the underworld, so spring could return. Even today, some rural communities in Eastern Europe still perform these rituals, remnants of a time when death was not an end, but a season. Symbolism. Morana is not just death, she is transformation. Her cold touch reminds us that everything ends, but also begins again. She represents nature's eternal rhythm, death, sleep, renewal. And though her season always comes, it is never final.
Top 5. Poljudnica, Phantom of the Fields. The Slavic countryside held more than just golden wheat and summer winds. It was also home to Poljudnica, the Lady of Noon, a spirit feared by farmers, harvesters, and children alike. She comes when the sun is highest, when the heat burns and the world goes quiet. Who is Polyudnica? Polyudnica appears as a tall woman in white, with long hair blowing in the dry wind. Sometimes she's young and beautiful, other times old, with a twisted face and glowing eyes. She wanders the fields at midday, watching those who work, and if someone stays too long under the scorching sun, she strikes. What does she do? If you disrespect the land, overwork, or harvest without permission, Polyudnica may appear. She might stop you with a riddle, or simply slice your head with her sickle. Some say she causes heat stroke, madness, or sudden death. Others say she lures children into the tall grass, never to return. Her presence was so feared that people refused to work during the noon hour, instead resting in the shade, just in case she passed through. Symbolism. Polyudnica represents the hidden dangers of nature, even in daylight. She reminds us of the limits of the human body and the cost of ignoring the rhythms of the earth. In many villages, her story kept children from wandering and warned workers to respect the land, the sun, and the spirits that dwell in silence. Top 6. Kikimora, the woman behind the stove. In Slavic homes, not all spirits lived in the woods or lakes. Some were much closer, hiding in your house, behind the stove, watching as you sleep. One of the most feared was Kikimora. She's not loud, she doesn't shout, she whispers. Who is Kikimora? Kikimora is a female house spirit, often appearing as a small, thin woman with a wrinkled face, tangled hair, and long, bony fingers. She wears old rags and moves silently, except for the sound of scratching behind the walls. She usually lives behind the oven or in the darkest corners of the house. What does she do? Kikimora punishes households that are messy, disrespectful, or filled with anger. She tangles threads, breaks dishes, and makes the floorboards creak at night. But her most terrifying trait is how she torments people in their sleep. She sits on your chest, causes nightmares, and whispers terrible things in your ear. In extreme cases, she can even cause suffocation or madness. Some say she enters through keyholes or lives in homes where someone has died violently. Symbolism. Kikimora represents domestic fear, the anxiety and unrest hidden behind closed doors. She's the darkness in the familiar, the tension between order and chaos. For ancient Slavs, she was a reminder: keep your home clean, your family calm, and your fire burning, or she will come when the lights go out.
Top 7. Navi, the restless dead.
In Slavic belief, not all spirits find peace after death. Some remain behind, angry, confused, or cursed. These are the Navi, the restless souls of the dead. They don't live in the forest or water. They linger between worlds. Who are the Navi? The Navi are spirits of those who died unnaturally, through murder, suicide, war, or tragedy. They are often described as pale, shadowy figures, with hollow eyes and broken voices. Sometimes they appear as swarms of ghostly birds or dark winds. Other times they take human form, cold, silent, and watching. What do they do? Navi are drawn to places of sorrow, battlefields, graveyards, ruins. They feed on grief, whispering to the living, causing nightmares, madness, and misfortune. They can possess the weak, curse families, or appear in dreams as warnings. In some tales, they drag people into the world of the dead, replacing them with emptiness. Ancient Slavs believed Navi wandered especially during Nav nights, dark periods when the barrier between worlds grew thin. How to protect yourself? To avoid their wrath, the dead were buried with care and ritual. Special charms, prayers, and iron objects were used to keep Navi away.
Whistling at night, stepping on graves, or disturbing sacred ground could attract them. Even saying the name of the dead too often was seen as an invitation. Symbolism. The Navi are symbols of unresolved pain and the danger of forgetting. They represent all that goes unanswered: grief, guilt, injustice. Their presence reminds us that some deaths echo long after the body is gone. Even now, in some Slavic villages, sudden misfortune or unexplainable illness is still blamed on the spirits of the restless dead.
Top 8. Zmej Goranich, the three-headed dragon. While many Slavic spirits lurk in shadows, Zmej Goranich comes with fire, fury, and thunder. He is the ultimate beast, a three-headed, fire-breathing dragon feared in every ancient tale. He doesn't whisper, he roars. Who is Zmej Goranich? Zmej Goranich is a massive, serpentine dragon with 3 heads, leathery wings, and a body covered in black or green scales. Each of his heads breathes fire and speaks with a voice of its own, cruel, cunning, and bloodthirsty. He lives in caves, mountains, or deep beneath rivers, and when he rises, villages burn. What does he do? Goranich is often portrayed as a chaos bringer, laying waste to crops, kidnapping maidens, and challenging heroes to mortal combat. In some myths, he demands tribute, gold, livestock, or lives. If not given, he attacks without mercy. Heroes like Dobrynya Nikitich are said to have faced him, swords clashing with claws, fire lighting up the sky. But Goranich doesn't die easily. When one head is cut off, another often grows in its place. Symbolism. Zmej Goranich represents pure destruction, greed, and unstoppable force. He is the beast that comes when balance is broken, when nature and man fall into disorder. Unlike spirits or demons, he is a physical monster, one that must be faced head-on. In Slavic folklore, Goranich reminds us that sometimes evil doesn't hide. It comes flying, breathing fire, demanding fear, and daring you to fight back.
Top 9. Eerie, the Slavic vampires.
Long before Dracula haunted the castles of Transylvania, the Slavs feared something much older, much darker, the Eerie. These were not charming or seductive. The Eerie were monsters, and they came to feed. Who are the Eerie? Eerie are undead creatures, corpses that rise from the grave to drain the life from the living. Unlike modern vampires, they don't fear sunlight, but prefer the night, the shadows, and the silence. They are pale, bloated from blood, with glowing red eyes and long, jagged nails. Some even appeared normal by day, hiding in plain sight, until hunger returned. What do? Eerie rise at night and seek out victims, often starting with their own families. They feed on blood, yes, but also on life energy, causing illness, nightmares, and death. In villages, entire families would die off one by one, and whispers would begin, "It's an Eerie." Animals would grow restless, shadows would move on their own, and graves would be found, disturbed. How to stop them? Slavic people had many ways to prevent an Eerie from rising. Bury the dead face down. Place heavy stones on the grave. Drive stakes through the heart. Or cut off the head and burn the corpse completely. Even the church bells were believed to keep them at bay. But if you waited too long, it was already too late. Symbolism. The oop here represents contagion, guilt, and the fear of death that spreads. Unlike outside monsters, they come from within, from one of us. They are a terrifying reminder that the dead can return, and when they do, they bring hunger with them. Top 10. Chernobog, the black god of chaos. At the edge of the Slavic pantheon, beyond spirits, beasts, and shadows, stands a name spoken in fear. Chernobog, the black god. He is not a demon. He is a god, a force of pure misfortune, decay, and darkness. Who is Chernobog? Chernobog means black god. He is the eternal opposite of light and harmony, the counter to Belobog, the god of light and order. Where Belobog gives, Chernobog takes. Where one heals, the other corrupts. Though few myths survive in full, medieval chroniclers described rituals where people cursed his name, hoping he would pass them by rather than strike. Chernobog was not worshipped, he was appeased. What does he do? Chernobog brings disease, war, betrayal, loss. He is the silent weight behind every tragedy, the cold in every dying fire, the whisper in moments of despair. In some tales he possesses rulers, drives people to madness, or twists fate itself. Others say he appears in human form, cloaked in shadow, with eyes like smoke and breath that wilts flowers. Symbolism. Chernobog isn't evil in the modern sense. He's balance, a cosmic force necessary for the world to function. Without night, there is no day. Without decay, no renewal. But knowing that doesn't make him less terrifying. He represents the darkness we cannot fight, only endure. The storm we survive, not because we're strong, but because we have no other choice. To the Slavs, he was the fear that had no face, until it stood before you.